It was break time at Crown Star University. The classroom was full of noise. Some students were eating, some were laughing, and others were taking pictures. But one boy sat alone at the back of the class. His name was David. David never talked. He never smiled. He always sat quietly, as if he didn't want anyone to notice him. But today, something changed. "Why does David always keep quiet?" one of the boys asked. Another student, a girl named Bella, turned to look at him. "Maybe he doesn't know how to speak." "He should say something today," someone else added. "Let's hear his voice." They all turned to David. "David, say something," Bella said gently. David looked up. His heart started beating fast. He didn't want to speak. He had a reason for staying silent. But they wouldn't stop. "Please," Bella begged, "just say hello." David took a deep breath. Slowly, he opened his mouth and said, "Hello." What happened next shocked everyone. The smile on Bella's face disappeared. Her eyes became wide. "What is that smell?" she shouted, covering her nose. One boy jumped out of his seat and ran to the door. Another opened the window and climbed out. "It's too much," someone cried. "My head is turning." In less than 1 minute, the classroom was empty. Everyone had run away. Only David sat there, alone. He slowly closed his mouth and looked down at his desk. It had happened again. This was not the first time people ran away from him. They always laughed or screamed when he spoke. They didn't know why his mouth smelled like that. They never asked. They just called him names. Mouth bomb, Mr. Talking Toilet. But David never fought back. He never shouted. He just stayed quiet. David got home that day feeling tired, broken and ashamed. His mother was in the sitting room. "Welcome, my son," she said with a smile. But David didn't answer. He walked in slowly and sat down on the edge of the chair. "Are you okay?" his mother asked. David looked up at her. His eyes were red. "Mother," he said, "I'm tired of everything." His voice was low and heavy. His mother's smile slowly disappeared. "I can't continue like this," he said, shaking his head. "Every time I talk, people run. Today my classmates jumped out of the window. Again." Before his mother could say anything, she covered her nose with her hand. The smell hit her hard, but she didn't want to make him feel worse. David saw her. His heart broke. He stood up slowly and looked at her with tears in his eyes. "Mother," he said softly, "I thought I'm your son." "You too. You're covering your nose." His mother looked away. "If you were the one sitting here, you would do the same." David felt like something had pierced his chest. "So now you're like them? You're also ashamed of me?" His mother sighed deeply. "David, this didn't just start today. I warned you. I told you to be careful with the way you talk to people, but you refused." "What are you talking about?" David asked, confused. His mother's face turned serious. "If you had not humiliated that old woman 3 years ago, you would not be in this condition." David's eyes widened. "So now you blame me?" he asked. "Have you forgotten how that dirty old woman insulted me first in the market? She called me spoilt royal trash. She said I was proud and useless. What did you want me to do? Smile at her?" "You should have walked away," his mother shouted. "You are a prince. You are meant to act better." David shook his head in disbelief. "So because I replied someone who insulted me, I now deserve this? You think I enjoy this pain? You think I enjoy going to school and coming back in shame every day?" His mother's voice was calm but heavy. "David, your father and I have done everything we can. Do you know the places we have been to? Churches, mosques, herbal homes, hospitals, prayer camps. We have tried everything." She stood up, tears welling up in her eyes now. "We've prayed. We've fasted. We've begged. We even went to that mountain they said was powerful. I've not stopped trying. Your father has not stopped either." David turned away from her. He felt like the whole world was falling on him. "I didn't ask to be like this," he whispered. "No one asks for their suffering," his mother replied gently. "But you must learn to accept that blaming everyone will not help you." David didn't say anything. He walked to his room slowly, his heart heavy. He closed the door behind him and dropped to the floor. He cried like a little child. Loud, painful sobs filled the room. "What kind of life is this?" he said to himself. "What kind of punishment is this? I'm a prince, but I feel like a curse." He picked up a photo from his table. It was him as a small boy, wearing his royal outfit beside his father. He touched the picture gently. "I was so happy back then," he whispered. "What happened to me?" Outside his room, his mother stood by the door, wiping her eyes. Her heart was breaking too, but she didn't know what else to do. The next day, David sat alone again in the classroom. His books were open, but he wasn't reading. His eyes were empty. His heart was tired. All he could think about was how useless he felt. Suddenly, someone walked in with loud steps. It was Stella. She was wearing shiny lip gloss and tight jeans that made her walk like she was on a fashion show runway. "Oh, look who's here," she said, placing one hand on her hip. "Fine boy with mouth odor. What are you doing all alone again?" David didn't answer. "I bet you can't go out during break," she continued, laughing loudly. "If you breathe near the fish pond, all the fishes will die." She held her nose and acted like she was choking. "Somebody call the ambulance. Dragon breath is about to attack again." A few students nearby laughed. David looked down at his book. His ears were hot. His chest was heavy. He wanted to speak. He wanted to say something sharp and clever. But he couldn't. He just stayed quiet. Stella rolled her eyes, flipped her braids, and walked out, still laughing like she just watched a funny movie. David sat there, frozen. He felt smaller than the chair he was sitting on. Then the classroom door opened gently. A girl stepped in. She looked around quietly. She held a file and a small bag in her hand. Her school uniform was neat, and her shoes were clean. Her eyes were calm, and there was something peaceful about her. Her name was Annabelle. It was her first day at Crown Star University. She looked around, a little confused. Then she walked gently to where David was sitting. "Hi," she said kindly. "Excuse me, please. I'm looking for the school library. I'm new here." David looked up. He didn't speak. He wanted to help, but fear held his mouth shut. Annabelle waited. "Please, can you help me? I just need directions." Still, David didn't say a word. He looked around nervously. Then he picked up his pen and tore a sheet from his notebook. He quickly drew a small map and wrote down instructions to the library. He passed the paper to her. Annabelle took it and smiled warmly. "Thank you so much." She looked at him for a moment. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. David gave a small nod. Annabelle nodded too. "All right, thank you again." She walked out of the classroom, holding the paper in her hand. But as she walked down the hallway, something stayed on her mind. Why didn't he talk? Was he shy? Was he sick? Or was he just sad? Annabelle walked down the school hallway, holding the paper David gave her. She looked at it again and smiled. The drawing was neat and the directions were clear. He didn't talk, she whispered to herself, but at least he helped. She turned the corner, still thinking about the quiet boy, when someone suddenly stood in front of her. "Hello, beautiful girl," the voice said. Annabelle looked up. It was a girl with long braids, long lashes, and a loud voice. She wore shiny earrings and chewed gum like it was a competition. "My name is Stella," she said with a bright smile. "I guess you're new here." Annabelle nodded politely. "Yes, I am. My name is Annabelle." "Wow, nice name. I love it," Stella said quickly. "Can we be friends, if you don't mind?" Annabelle smiled. "No problem." Stella linked her arm with Annabelle's like they had known each other forever. "Let me show you around. I know all the best spots in this school. You'll love it here." They began walking together, but then Stella looked at the piece of paper in Annabelle's hand. "Wait. Were you just coming out of that classroom?" she asked. "Yes," Annabelle replied. "I asked one of the students there for directions to the library." Stella raised her eyebrows. "Don't tell me you met that boy." Annabelle looked confused. "Which boy?" Stella leaned close and whispered like she was about to share the world's biggest secret. "The one that smells like a dead rat and burnt pepper. David." Annabelle blinked. "I'm sorry." "You didn't hear me," Stella said, louder now. "David, the boy that sits alone like a broken chair, tall, quiet, and cursed with the worst mouth odor in the history of the world." Annabelle was silent. She didn't know what to say. "Don't worry," Stella said, laughing and flipping her braids. "You'll get used to the stories. Nobody goes near him. The day he said good morning to one girl, she went to the clinic and said her brain was shaking." Annabelle's eyes widened. "Oh, no wonder he didn't talk to me." Stella clapped her hands. Aha! You see, he knew his breath would kill your kindness, so he kept quiet. Annabel looked down at the paper again. He seemed nice though, she said quietly. Stella stopped walking and looked at her like she just said she eats sand. Nice? My sister, run. Run for your life. That boy is just handsome for nothing. A fine face with a dangerous mouth. Even if they give me $1 billion, I will never marry him. Never. She waved her hand in the air like she was casting out a demon. God forbid. Do you want to faint every morning in your own house? Imagine waking up and hearing, "Good morning," and then boom, you're on the floor. Annabel couldn't help but giggle. Stella was dramatic, but she was also funny. I pity him though, Annabel said softly. Stella rolled her eyes. I don't. He brought it upon himself, I heard. They say he insulted one old woman years ago. Some say it was a curse. I say it's punishment. Annabel didn't know what to think. She just nodded. Anyway, Stella continued, let's go to the library, my new friend. I'll introduce you to the cool people. As they walked away together, Annabel looked back for a moment. She thought about the boy in the classroom, the one who didn't speak, the one who helped her without saying a word. Stella was still talking beside her, laughing and calling David all sorts of names. But Annabel stayed quiet, because deep down something told her. Maybe there was more to David's story. Maybe he didn't deserve what everyone was saying about him. David walked home slowly, kicking small stones on the road as he went. The sun had started to go down, but the heat in his chest was still burning. His heart was heavy. His legs felt weak. He had no more strength to hide his pain. As he opened the door to the house, he heard a voice from the living room. David, you're back, his father said. King Omorogbe, though now dressed in simple clothes, still carried the look of royalty. Tall, proud, and strong. His deep voice filled the room like thunder in the sky. But today that voice would be shaken. David walked in and sat down quietly. Good evening, Dad, he said. His father looked at him with kind eyes, but just as David opened his mouth to speak again, the king slowly brought his hand to his nose. He tried to do it gently, but David saw it. Another one, another person hiding from his breath. But this time it was his own father. David looked down. He didn't even feel surprised anymore. He was used to it. I see you covered your nose again, David said softly. Don't worry, everyone does it. David, please don't be offended. I'm not. I've stopped feeling anything, David said, shaking his head. I'm just tired, Dad. Tired of all of this. The king sat up straighter. What happened again? David's voice cracked as he spoke. They laugh at me in school every day. Today, a new student asked for directions to the library. I couldn't even help her. I was too scared to open my mouth. I just gave her a piece of paper like I'm some dumb person. He clenched his fists. I can't continue like this, Dad. What kind of life is this? I've become a shadow, a joke. I can't laugh. I can't talk. I can't even make friends. Tears gathered in his eyes, and his voice became low and shaky. If you don't do anything about this, I swear I will end it all. I will unalive myself, Dad. I can't do this anymore. The words hit his father like a blow to the chest. No, the king shouted, standing up in fear. Don't ever say that again. He rushed to David and knelt in front of him. David, please listen to me. You are my only son, my only child. You are the reason your mother and I are still standing. Don't even think of such things, please. David looked at his father with tired eyes. I don't want to feel this way anymore. You won't, the king said firmly. I promise you, I will do something. Tomorrow morning, I will travel to Oke Agbara. There is a man of God there, Prophet Elijah. Very powerful. People say his prayers can shake mountains. David's heart moved a little. I've heard of him, he said quietly. Yes, his father nodded. He helped the governor's daughter. He even prayed for a woman who had been mad for 15 years, and she became normal in one day. I will go there. I will not come back until he agrees to see you. David wiped his tears slowly. Do you think he can help me? The king placed his hand on David's shoulder. I believe it with all my heart. Just go to school tomorrow, my son. Before you come back, good news will be waiting for you. David stared at his father, and for the first time in a long while, he smiled a little. Thank you, Dad. His father pulled him into a hug. "We will win this battle. You are a prince, and no curse will destroy your life." David nodded. That night he slept with hope in his heart. For the first time in months, he dreamed of himself smiling, laughing, talking without fear. The next day at Crown Star University, the school was buzzing with whispers and surprise. Students gathered in small groups, talking quietly but excitedly. Something big had just been discovered, and it was spreading fast like fire on dry grass. In one corner of the school, Stella was sitting under a tree. Then her friend Lydia came running toward her. "Stella, Stella, you won't believe what I just heard," Lydia said, almost out of breath. Stella looked up lazily. "What is it again? Did the cafeteria finally buy meat pies that have meat inside?" No, something bigger than meat pie." Lydia sat beside her and lowered her voice. "It's about David." Stella raised her brow. "David? You mean Mr. Mouth Explosion?" Lydia nodded quickly. "Yes, I just found out something shocking. David is not an ordinary student." Stella frowned. "Okay, what does that mean?" Lydia leaned in closer. "David is the only son of King Omorogbe. That means he's a prince." Stella's eyes nearly popped out of her head. "Wait, what?" "I'm serious," Lydia said. "I confirmed it. His full name is Prince David Omorogbe. He came to this university quietly to study like a normal person." Stella dropped her nail file. "Oh my goodness. Yes," Lydia said, "and that's not all. He's the only child, which means, one day, he will become king." Stella jumped up, holding her chest like someone that just won a lottery. "That means he must be rich. I mean, his father is a king." "Which king is poor?" Lydia nodded. "Exactly." Stella began pacing. "It won't be bad if I become his girlfriend, and later his queen. I will wear gold. I will travel to Paris. I will snap pictures on a horse. I will—" She stopped suddenly and sighed. "Only problem is that mouth odor." Lydia held her nose dramatically. That one is something else." Stella rubbed her chin. "How will I cope? I can't faint every time he talks." Lydia laughed and said, "You can buy him a helmet." "A helmet?" Stella laughed. "Don't kill me." "I'm serious. Or better still, just buy him mouth spray. Or a mask. Yes, give him a face mask and tell him it's for fashion." Stella began smiling again. True. That boy is too handsome. His eyes, his skin, the way he walks. If not for that fire-breathing mouth, he's a dream." Lydia raised one brow. "But Stella, don't forget, you insulted him yesterday. You said very terrible things." Stella waved her hand. "Oh, please, leave that to me. Have you forgotten I'm the finest girl in this school? The most classy. The queen of fashion. Which man in this school can reject me? Even the lecturers admire me." "But what if David doesn't like you?" Lydia asked. Stella smiled proudly. "Don't worry," she said. "With my beauty, charm, and a small mouth spray, I'll win his heart. Soon you'll be calling me Queen Stella." They both laughed loudly. The school library was quiet, peaceful, and almost empty. Most students didn't like going there during break time, but for David, the library was his hiding place. No one laughed at him there, no one asked him to talk. It was the only place where silence felt safe. He sat at a table near the window, pretending to read a book. But his mind wasn't focused. His heart still carried the weight of everything happening in his life. Then he heard soft footsteps. He looked up, and there she was. Stella. David frowned a little. He could see it clearly. She was covering her nose with a handkerchief. He sighed and closed the book. "I know why you're here," he said quietly. "You came to laugh at me again. Don't worry, I'm used to it." Stella blinked. She didn't expect him to speak first. "No, David, I didn't come to laugh at you." He looked away and said nothing. Stella pulled out a chair and sat down across from him, still holding the handkerchief near her face. "I came to say I'm sorry," she said. David didn't respond. "I know I said a lot of hurtful things. I was rude and I behaved like a child. I didn't know you were going through so much." David looked at her slowly. "Now you know I'm a prince, so you're here to be nice." Stella opened her mouth, then closed it. "Yes and no. I mean, look, I won't lie, it surprised me. But even before I heard about that, I started feeling bad. You've never hurt anyone. You've always been quiet. I was just being foolish. David smiled a little but shook his head. You're still covering your nose. Stella quickly dropped her handkerchief. Sorry, it's just habit. He raised his eyebrows. She laughed awkwardly. Okay, fine. I'll be honest. Your mouth, it's strong, like very strong, but you're still a fine man. David looked at her. You were about to say it, weren't you? Say what? Mr. Mouth Odour. He said it with a sad smile. No, Stella said quickly. I didn't say that. You said it yourself. David laughed softly for the first time in a while. Wow, you're something else. I know, she said proudly, but seriously, can we be friends? Best friends even? David looked at her, unsure. I don't know. Please, Stella said gently, let's start again. Forget all those things I said. I'm sorry, David, really. He looked at her eyes. For once she wasn't joking or laughing. Her voice was soft. Her words sounded real. I'll think about it, he said. She smiled. I'll take that as a yes. David shook his head, still unsure whether to trust her. But a small part of him was happy. Happy that someone, even if strange and unexpected, wanted to be his friend. When David got home that evening, he walked in quietly, just like always. But this time, something was different. His father was standing by the door, smiling. My son, he said gently, come in. The man of God is here. He's waiting for you. David's eyes widened. You mean the prophet you told me about? Yes, the king nodded. He arrived this afternoon. He's in the prayer room now. Go in. Talk to him. He's expecting you. David dropped his bag, his heart beating fast. For the first time in a long while, he felt something inside. Hope. He walked slowly into the prayer room. Inside, the man of God sat calmly, dressed in simple white clothes. His beard was grey, and his eyes were full of peace and wisdom. He looked up as David entered and smiled warmly. Welcome, my son, the prophet said. David walked in and sat down quietly. Man of God, he began softly, please help me. I don't know what else to do. I've been laughed at, mocked, avoided and ashamed. I'm tired. My own voice feels like a curse. My breath chases people away. I feel like I don't belong anywhere. Tears filled his eyes as he lowered his head, but the man of God reached out and touched his shoulder gently. My son, he said, do not cry anymore. Your time of shame is over. David looked up slowly. You mean, there's a solution? Yes, the prophet said with a calm voice. But it is a strange one. David sat up, listening carefully. You were cursed by a woman you deeply wounded with your words. That curse grew from pain, but it can also be destroyed by love. David blinked. Love? Yes, the man of God said, this curse will disappear the day a woman who truly loves you, from her heart, kisses you passionately. Not a small kiss, not a fake one. A kiss of true love. That moment, the smell will leave your mouth forever. David was quiet for a while. His heart was beating fast. Then he asked, but what if I don't love her back? Will it still work? The man of God nodded slowly. Yes, it is not about your love. It's about hers. If she has real feelings for you, deep and pure, the curse will break. But if someone who does not truly love you kisses you, even if she pretends to, the curse will remain. It will never leave. David sat back, thinking hard. So, she has to love me for real? Yes, the prophet said gently. She must love your heart, not your crown, not your money, not your name. David closed his eyes and sighed. That will be hard to find. Maybe not, the man of God smiled. Sometimes the answer is already close. You just have to see it. David looked at him and said, Thank you, sir. The prophet patted his shoulder again. Be patient. Watch closely. Listen to your heart. The one who loves you may already be near. David stood up slowly, filled with new hope, yet unsure of what to do next. That night, David sat on his bed, thinking deeply. Could it be Stella? He asked himself. He remembered how she came to the library, said sorry, called him a fine man, and asked to be friends. But then he remembered all the times she laughed at him. Just yesterday, she told people his breath could kill fish. He frowned. "No," he whispered, "I don't like anything about that girl. She only came back because she found out I'm a prince. She doesn't love me. She loves the title." He sighed and looked up at the ceiling. "She's not the one. I'm sure of it." Then he turned off the light and quietly lay down to sleep. The next day at school, David sat on a bench near the flower garden behind the science block. It was one of the quietest places in the school, and he liked it there. As he stared at the trees, he heard a soft voice beside him. "Hi, David." He looked up. Annabelle. Her face looked calm and gentle, just like the first time he saw her. David gave a small smile but looked away quickly. He didn't want to open his mouth. "Say something," Annabelle said, taking a seat beside him. "I don't mind. I already know your story." David froze. His eyes slowly turned to her. "Oh, really?" he asked, his voice low and shaky. "I'm sorry," he added quickly. "It's not my fault. I didn't choose this." Annabelle nodded kindly. "I know, the smell was strong," she said, chuckling gently, "but I can manage it. It's not the end of the world." David looked at her in surprise. "Are you sure?" "You can cover your nose. I won't be upset." Annabelle shook her head. "No, I'm fine." David felt his heart beat differently. She wasn't pretending. She meant it. "Can we be friends?" he asked softly. "If you don't mind." "Sure," she smiled. David relaxed a little. He finally felt seen, as a human. Then he looked at her again. "I haven't seen you around since the first day. Where have you been?" Annabelle's smile faded. "My mum was very sick. I had to stay home and take care of her." "Oh no," David said, his voice full of concern. "I'm so sorry. Is she okay now?" "Yes," Annabelle nodded. "She's fine now, thank God." "I'm glad," David said. Then he stood up. "I'm going to get something to eat. Do you want to come with me?" Annabelle shook her head. "No, I'm okay. Maybe another time." David smiled gently. "All right. Maybe next time then." He walked away, his heart lighter than it had been in weeks. But just as he turned the corner, trouble arrived. Stella walked up to Annabelle with her arms crossed and her eyes full of fire. "What are you doing with my man?" she asked, loud and rude. Annabelle looked confused. "What do you mean? Who is your man?" Stella scoffed and flipped her braids. "Don't act dumb with me, Annabelle. David, of course." Annabelle burst into laughter. "You're joking, right? Weren't you the same person who said David is not your type? Just a few days ago, you were shouting that even if they gave you $1 million, you would never accept him because of his mouth." Stella's smile dropped. "Whatever. That was then." Annabelle stood up and faced her. "Now look how cheap you are. Just because you heard he's a prince, you suddenly love him. How desperate can you be, Stella?" Stella stepped forward angrily. "I warned you. Stay away from my man. If you don't, I swear I'll stop being your friend." Annabelle folded her arms. "I never begged for your friendship, you desperado. You think everything is about looks and money." Stella gasped. "How dare you talk to me like that? You know I'm classy and more beautiful than you." Annabelle stepped closer. "No, how dare you? You call yourself classy, but you're fighting over a boy you used to insult. You empty soul." Stella's face turned red. "You daughter of a poor tomato seller. You that smell of poverty. I regret ever speaking to you." Annabelle laughed. "And I regret ever believing you were a decent human. Who's the real one that smells? You walk around spraying perfume, but your heart stinks." Stella raised her hand like she wanted to slap her, but Annabelle stepped forward boldly. "Go ahead," she said calmly. "Touch me, and I'll make sure the whole school hears about how low you truly are." Stella froze. She knew Annabelle was serious. "I'm not even dating David," Annabelle said sharply. "We're not even close yet. So what is all this madness? Fighting over a boy just because he's a prince? That's your idea of love?" Stella couldn't speak. Her lips trembled, but no words came out. "You want a crown," Annabelle said, "but you have no heart to wear it." Then she walked away, her head high, leaving Stella standing there, defeated, speechless, and shaking with shame. David sat alone in the school restaurant. A plate of rice and chicken sat in front of him, but he wasn't eating. He was just stirring the food slowly with his spoon. His mind was still on his conversation with Annabelle. Her words, her calm voice, the way she smiled even when she said the smell was strong. It touched him deeply. No one had ever treated him like that before. He was still thinking about her when someone dragged the chair opposite him and sat down roughly. Stella. David looked up slowly. As expected, she was already holding a handkerchief near her nose. "Hi, David," she said, giving a forced smile. "We need to talk." David said nothing. She looked around quickly, then leaned in like she was about to share a dangerous secret. "I saw you with that girl," she said. David blinked. "What girl?" "Don't pretend," Stella snapped. "That new girl, Annabelle." David looked down at his food. "What about her?" Stella rolled her eyes. "You need to stay away from her. That girl is no good." David looked up. "What do you mean?" "I know her very well," Stella lied. "We used to attend the same school. She's cursed, David. People that get close to her always have bad luck. She's not who you think she is." David frowned. "Cursed?" "Yes, ask anyone. Her mother used to be sick all the time because of her. And I heard she was even chased from her last school." David folded his arms. "Why are you telling me all this now?" Stella sat up straight. "Because I care about you. I'm your girlfriend. I'm only trying to protect you from her. She's pretending to be sweet, but it's all fake." David looked at her closely. "You're still covering your nose." Stella quickly lowered her handkerchief. It's nothing. My nose is a bit sensitive." David leaned back in his chair. "Why are you really here, Stella?" "I told you, I'm trying to help you." "No," David said quietly. "You're trying to destroy someone else." Stella's face changed. "You said I should stay away from the only person who treated me like a human being." Stella scoffed. "You call that love?" "She's just acting. Trust me, girls like that don't love boys like you." David stood up slowly. "And girls like you? You think I forgot how you laughed at me? How you shouted across the class that my breath could kill fish?" Stella was silent. "You want me now because I'm a prince," he said. "But you never cared about me, not truly." Stella's face turned red. "Fine, do what you want. But don't say I didn't warn you when that girl shows you her real face." David picked up his tray and looked at her one last time. "She already showed me her real face. And it was honest." As David walked away from the restaurant, Stella sat back in her chair, her face slowly changing from fake sadness to wicked amusement. She dropped her handkerchief and burst into quiet laughter. "Look at this mouth odour boy. He actually thinks I'm after his handsomeness." She scoffed loudly, then rolled her eyes. "This boy must be dreaming. Who even likes him for real? That breath alone is enough to chase away mosquitoes in a whole village. But don't worry, my dear Prince Dragon Breath," she whispered. "By the time I'm done with you, you'll forget how to spell your own name. I'm the queen of this school. No one takes the spotlight from me, not even a cursed prince with a royal mouth bomb." With one final smile, she walked out of the restaurant. In her mind, a plan had already begun. She was going to do everything to pull Annabelle away from David, even if it meant lying, twisting stories, or causing problems. Because in Stella's world, if she couldn't have David, no one else would. The next morning, Stella arrived at school earlier than usual. She wore her best outfit, sprayed perfume until the hallway smelled like a flower shop, and walked like the queen she believed she was. Her first mission, destroy Annabelle's image. She walked straight to a group of students sitting under the school tree. "Good morning, guys," she said sweetly, pretending to be polite. "Good morning, Stella," they all replied. "I just wanted to tell you something small," she began, lowering her voice. "It's about that new girl, Annabelle." The students leaned in, curious. "I'm not the type that talks too much," Stella said, pretending to be shy. "But I think it's only fair you all know who she really is." "Who is she?" one girl asked. "Well..." Stella glanced around, then whispered, "She was expelled from her last school. I heard she was caught doing things with boys in the school garden. They say her mother even begged the principal not to involve the police." "What?" someone gasped. "Yes," Stella nodded. "That's not all. Some say she uses charm on boys. Maybe that's why David is following her around like a lost puppy." "David?" another girl said. "That smelling mouth guy?" "Yes," Stella smiled, "but I've already warned him. Let him ignore me and chase after a witch. When his kingdom starts falling apart, he will remember who truly cares for him." The students started whispering and shaking their heads. Stella walked away smiling. Her lies were working. But not everyone believed her. One girl who had once sat next to Annabelle in class frowned. "That story sounds made up," she said quietly. "Annabelle doesn't look like someone who'd do all that." Meanwhile, Annabelle had no idea her name was being dragged like mud through a storm. She was in the school clinic, helping a sick girl walk to her bed. Kindness was natural to her. She didn't do it to impress anyone. And David? He was in the library again, sitting in the same spot where he first saw Annabelle. He kept looking at the door, waiting, hoping. When he didn't see her, he sighed and looked at the clock. Where is she today? His heart was starting to feel something it hadn't felt in a long time. Longing. Suddenly, a boy entered the library, looking surprised to see David. He covered his nose. "Hey, I heard you're talking to that Annabelle girl," the boy said. David nodded slowly. "Be careful," the boy warned. "They say she was expelled from her last school." "Something about boys and police." David stood up immediately. "Who told you that?" The boy shrugged. "People are talking." Stella said. "Stop right there," David said sharply. The boy blinked in surprise. "Next time someone gossips, ask them to bring proof," David said firmly, "not just words." And with that, he walked out. 1 week passed. The school was still buzzing with gossip. Stella was still spreading lies, and some students had started acting strange toward Annabelle. But she didn't care. She avoided drama and focused on her studies. David, on the other hand, stayed close to her. Quiet, kind, and always respectful. They didn't talk much in public, but when they were alone, it was different. One afternoon after classes, David and Annabelle sat under a quiet tree behind the library. The air was cool, leaves danced in the wind, and birds sang softly above their heads. David looked at her and smiled. "I'm glad you still talk to me, after everything." Annabelle smiled too. "Why wouldn't I? You've been nothing but kind to me." David looked down. "Not everyone sees me that way." "I don't care what others see," she said gently. "I know what I see." David looked into her eyes. There was silence, a deep, sweet silence. Then, without saying a word, Annabelle leaned forward and kissed him. It was soft, slow, and full of meaning. Dear viewers, what lessons did you take away from this dramatic tale? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed the story, give us a thumbs up, share it with friends, and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest updates. Thanks for watching and stay blessed.